So if you've been keeping up with world events, you have probably figured out by now that the world is going down the toilet rather rapidly. Now, I know that since 2017 on the Roman calendar that I have been warning that the clock, the 77s of Daniel have come to an end. Many, many times I gave the calculation, proof that it's ended. The calculation of the times when the sins of Israel are to be forgiven. But unfortunately for the Gentiles, their time of tribulation intersects with that period. What do you mean the time of the Gentiles' tribulation? The scripture is filled in the prophets and in the words of Yehoshua, the disciples, all talking about the great tribulation upon the Gentiles. But the people you follow, just like the people that the Jews followed in the days when their Moshiach was there among them, the people that you follow, they want to keep their power. They want to keep that money coming in from you. So they don't want you to know when the time of the Gentiles comes to an end. In fact, they don't even want you to know that the times of the Gentiles is going to come to an end. That's the reason why you don't know. If you've been listening to my videos, which I do not get any monetary compensation for whatsoever, because I want my reward from Yehoshua, the Moshiach of Israel, not from a bunch of yes men. I do not want to be beholden to others. I'm only beholden to one. The Moshiach of Israel. So I want to read a few things, and I put this in my little notepad here. Tucker Carlson claims the elites are making things worse deliberately. And Hal Turner, in his editorial opinion, says the same thing. So I want to go over Tucker Carlson's editorial first, and it is on Zero Hedge. In a compelling monologue, or you can look up Paul Joseph Watson via Summit News. You can look it up there. Compelling monologue, Tucker Carlson warned that history-changing events, including energy and food shortages, are occurring all at once, and societies rapidly collapsing while the masses try to ignore it. Now, there's one thing none of you listening to my videos can ever accuse me of. None of my brothers and sisters can ever accuse me of. None of the people who know me can accuse me of. Because I have been pestering them, each and every one of them, to get their house in order. And do not get caught with their pants down. There is a food shortage coming, but much worse. There is an energy shortage coming. As I have said in the videos throughout this past year, I sold my house that had a mortgage on it and moved further into the country where I had more land to till, or I had access to water in case the grid goes down. I don't live in a great big house. Some of you would be surprised to see what I live in. But I am telling you, those of you who live in your gated communities and live in the cities and live in the suburbs, you're not going to be ready for what's about to happen. I have been warning on this YouTube channel for at least 7 years. Over and over and over again. And finally, somebody on Fox News notices, oh, we're headed for a brick wall. We're heading over a cliff. Food shortages occurring all at once. This was not occurring all at once. You should have seen this coming years ago. Should have. As society is rapidly collapsing while the masses try to ignore it. Carlson pointed out that Europe is descending into poverty because of spiraling energy costs and the inability of countries to provide their own power sources. Energy is the key to a functioning society, and the elites don't care. Now, just listen, hold that thought in your mind about the elites. I got a scripture for them. Carlson pointed out, adding the caveat, or maybe they do care and they're making things worse on purpose. You can reach a place in your society where people in charge and their lapdogs in the media become so completely disconnected from the concerns of actual people, become so totally uninterested in the lives of citizens that society becomes very volatile, and we are fast approaching that point, the host further warned. Should have seen it coming. Years ago, I showed over and over again Isaiah 24, and today I'm going to do it again. Carlson pointed to government warning across Europe of severe power outages in winter and crackdowns on energy use, while they, along with the U.S., funnel billions of their own from their own economies to Ukraine to fund a war. This is not just bad policy, this makes no sense, Carlson concluded, adding it only makes sense that the goal is to completely destroy the West. Or self-destruction. You know, kind of like the demons who entered into the swine after they requested to do so, and then jumped off the cliff into a lake. It's written in the scripture. I have made mention to that particular scripture over and over and over again. That is what this society is going to do. Concerning blackouts are coming to America, energy use crackdowns are already here. California's independent system operator declared an energy emergency level 3 Tuesday evening, warning that rotating power outages are very possible. And they think that electric cars are the answer to, as they say, global warming. Announcement came after Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom appeared on social media in winter clothing while asking residents to do their part to conserve energy during a heat wave. As he claims, this heat wave is set to be the hottest and longest on record in California for September. That's not true. We are headed into the worst part of it. The risk of outages are real. Your efforts have paid off so far, but we need everyone to double down to save energy after 4 p.m. The question is he going to take the lead? They never take the lead. They never do what they tell others to do. Meanwhile, Biden's Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm praised the state's green energy policy, saying California is leading the way that every other state should follow. Yes, off the cliff. In a further interview, Granholm stated, "I love the fact that California is unabashedly bold about green energy policy." Well, I guess they didn't read Isaiah 24, and once again, I'm saying I will get there here in a minute. And of course, these people, the Republicans would say Democrats would rather create rolling blackouts than unleash American energy. They want to tell you what, when, and how much energy you can use as electricity prices surge. Meanwhile, they fly around the world in private jets looking at you, John Kerry. All right, so I've done that one. And I want to go to... Oh, what did I just do? Well, I'll just go to the, listen, wait a minute. I'll go to my notepad and read Hal Turner editorial. Now, let me explain to you something about Hal Turner. He was once a government employee, and that should rouse your suspicion right away. He is a devout Roman Catholic Jew hater. Borderline Nazi ideas. But as I'm going to point out here on the bottom line here, a broken clock can be right twice a day. So, this is Hal Turner's editorial. Your local member of the United States Congress, House or Senate, is trying to get you and your family killed. Why is this? Do I have to go to his website? I hope not. Let me just roll this down a little bit. Whoa. Seriously? I guess I do. I didn't want to go to his website because I don't want to have, no, I got to save this somehow. I've got to make this work. All right. Your local member of the United States Congress, House or Senate, is trying to get you and your family killed. Yes, those friendly neighborhood members of Congress who you see in your communities glad-handing, backslapping. They did this because they are craven for power. Let me make sure that I'm not missing anything. Backslapping, handshaking, and all this because, okay. They have actually power and they seek to keep it. The easiest way for them, move this down, to do that is to hand out cash. I'm going to have difficulty doing this. I'm going to have to go to the website, and I don't want to. All right. This is the website. This is his article. And as I warn you, people, not to be followers of him. He is a very, very dangerous man. Any of these folks who has worked in U.S. intelligence are dangerous people. Backslapping, handshaking, kissing babies have a problem. They and their pals in Congress have overspent so much money for so long they can't pay it back. They did this because they are craving for power. They have actual power and they seek to keep it. The easiest way for them to do that is to hand out cash money to voters. Welfare, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, Obama phones, Section 8 housing subsidies, utility subsidies, and the like are all the way they keep the small-minded, lazy, useless eaters to keep voting for them. Notice how he words this. Since it isn't their country, since it isn't their money they've been spending, they haven't a care in the world about how far into debt they send the country. It's been this way for decades. All of you should know this. This is not rocket science, people. Only now they've got a problem. They spent so much for so long buying votes from the non-thinking, lazy, useless, dumb people. And we know who he's calling the lazy, useless, dumb people. But see, those people who he calls lazy, useless, and dumb, they're now catching on to the scam as well. And that is what's making these people in power so afraid. But poor Hal Turner doesn't get that part. To keep voting for them. Since it isn't their money they've been spending, they haven't cared in the world for how far into debt they send the country. It's been this way for decades. Only now they've got a real problem. They've spent so much, so long buying votes from non-thinking, lazy, useless, dumb people that they can't pay the money back anymore. The interest on the debt is taking almost all the tax revenue. Now, logically, they can resolve this by cutting spending and paying down debt. But if they cut spending, those useless, dumb, lazy people won't vote for them, and they'll be out of their cushy, powerful jobs. As I said, those people who Hal Turner calls lazy, useless, dumb, you can spot those people on YouTube catching on. Catching on real fast. And that is what's scaring public servants. For the political class, losing power is akin to a drug addiction running out of his drug addict running out of his dope. It hurts so bad they'll do just about anything to get more, and that's true. Which brings us to today, since they cannot cut spending for fear of losing re-election, and they're at the point where they're almost unable to pay the interest at what they've spent, they need a way out. The only way out they can come up with is war. That is also correct. Again, even a dead clock can be right twice a day. They need American cities to be bombed by a foreign bogeyman. That's correct. I'm telling you, folks. They need American citizens to be killed in the millions by a foreign bogeyman. If they get that, they can go to the bankers and other people to whom they owe some $31 trillion, crying crocodile tears, and say, our cities are smashed, our people are dead, we have no hope at all paying back the money that we owe you. We need debt forgiveness. And the bankers and other creditors will see for themselves that the cities are in fact smashed and millions of Americans are in fact dead. They'll realize that there is really no hope at all of being paid back, so they'll provide the debt forgiveness because they will have no other choice. That is where he's wrong. Wrong. See, you know what they say. The best laid plans, they often go awry. Now we'll show you in a minute just how awry those plans will go. Then these very same politicians will slither out of the nuclear bunkers we built for them and start the whole shit show all over again, with themselves, of course, in power. Wrong! No, they won't. They will not. I will prove it to you. All right, and so so he goes on and on and on here. That's why you see them sending billions of weapons and military intelligence to Ukraine. They want to trigger World War III with Russia. That is why you see them making unauthorized trips to Taiwan, sending weapons and aids for that island. They want to trigger World War III, etc., etc. I don't want to keep going on and on this particular rant. What I do want to do is to go to Isaiah 24. Oh, wait a minute. Now, when they do this, when this war was predicted, in Haggai 2, verses 18 through 22, is also predicted in the Zechariah 14. I don't remember the verses, but I may get to there, I'm not sure. But Jehovah, not the Lord. You see right there? Jehovah. That is his name. Or Yehovah. Depending on the subject matter. Usually when it is written as a done coming before his name, it's Yehovah. But in this case, it's Jehovah makes the earth empty and makes it waste and turns it upside down, or turns it on its face, and scatters the inhabitants abroad. And those in the cities are going to fare much worse, and for the obvious reasons. Not saying that those in the suburbs or in the country are going to escape. No, not saying that. And it shall be with the people, also with the priest, also with the little man, also with the big man, with the little girl and the big woman, with the buyer and the seller, and the lender and the borrower. See? They won't be able to go back to the lender and beg for debt forgiveness. No. You see, when they start this great conflict, when they start this latest grand war that involves nuclear warfare, just as Zechariah 14 describes, just as the sixth trumpet sound describes, when that war takes place, the lenders are not going to fare any better than the borrower. The big man is not going to fare any better than the little man, as you can plainly see in this scripture. There's no escape, with one exception. I'll continue. So with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, the creditors. So, what is it? So the beguiler. The beguiler. The land shall be utterly emptied. That says to be luxuriant, profuse, abundant. So it will go from profusely abundant. See the wording, how the wording is a little different with Hebrew. It will go from being profusely abundant to empty, fail utterly. This is where we're at today. Profusely abundant. It will go from that to nothing. Now you've got context. and will be plundered, because Jehovah has spoken. He said these words many, many times to many prophets. He said these words over and over again that this was going to happen. The earth will mourn and be in disgrace. The world will become weak and will languish in disgrace. The haughty people of the earth, they will be weak and languish. There will be no creditors for you. There will be nobody driving trucks to the grocery store delivering food. No. You can sit back there in your ivory towers, in your gated communities, and laugh all you want to. These words are going to happen when you are living in your height of haughtiness. The earth also is defiled, polluted, profaned under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the Torah. They changed the statutes. You know, they claimed that women could marry women and that men could marry men. And they also broke the they broke the new covenant. I have spoken over and over and over again, explaining to you how they broke the new covenant. Christianity broke the new covenant. How do I know this? Read Jeremiah 31 verses 31 through 34 and speak it to any devout Christian. They will tell you that that's not about Israel, when it is about Israel. They will say, well, that's about the church. The church has become Israel, and Israel has... No, it's not true. Because if they would have bothered to read Romans 11, they would have realized that if any Gentile wanted to be a believer, they have to be grafted in one of the branches of Israel. It's written right there. But your preacher will never. They will never, ever, ever make that connection and show it to you. They won't do it. Never mind the fact that it's written right there in Romans 11. The new covenant is for Israel. That is the reason why this YouTube channel is named that name. I dare you, as a listener, as an old listener, a new listener, to go around to all the other YouTube channels. See if you can find anyone who will say the new covenant is for Israel, the descendants of Jacob. They will all reject that out of hand. And because of this, a curse has devoured the earth. And they that dwell in it are desolate. The inhabitants of the earth, they are burned, scorched by nuclear weapons and by great plague from Jehovah. And a trifling few men left. Billions will die. And I'm not going to sit here and assume that I'm going to survive it. I don't know that. But one thing that I do know, that is, the new covenant is for Israel, and all Israel shall be saved. Just as Paul said in Romans 11 verse 26. I know that. And I've been telling you that. I've been telling the world that. But have your preachers been telling you that? Have the Messianic preachers been telling you that? How about Nehemiah Gordon? Has he been telling you that? Can you find it anywhere? Can you find any preacher anywhere that confesses on YouTube or any other medium that all Israel shall be saved, meaning the sons of Jacob? If you can find anyone who is admitting that openly, point them out to me. I want to know. I want to see. I don't believe it. The new wine mourns, and all the merry, the glad, joyful, and they are now sighing and groaning. The mirth of musical instruments cease, the noise of the exultant and jubilant has ended, the joy of the strings have also ceased. They will no longer drink wine with a song or liquor, and liquor shall be bitter to them when they drink it. The city of confusion, Babylon. That's what Babel means. Babylon. And Rome is that Babylon, and all the cities of the earth who are patterned after her, including Washington, D.C. Yes, all of Western civilization is patterned after Rome. They are all going to be broken down, and every house will be shut, so that no man can go in. There's an outcry for wine in the street. All mirth is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. The cities will be left desolate, and the gates will be smitten with destruction. When this happens in the midst of the land among the people, it will be like the shaking of an olive tree as the gleaning grapes when the vintage is done. Or like it says in the sixth seal. Go read that. Oh yes, it says the same thing. It says like the shaking of an olive tree before they are ripened, like a strong wind shakes an olive tree before the olives are ripened. What is that? That's things from outer space falling down and striking the earth. Meteors, perhaps, after nuclear destruction. They shall lift up their voice. Who are going to lift up their voice and sing for the majesty of Jehovah? They will cry aloud in the sea. Who? Who is going to do that? It'll tell you. Why are they, let's see, hold on. Glorify. All right, there it is. Why do they glorify in the sea? Glorify Jehovah in the fires. What fires? Well, you got nuclear war they're talking about, but you also have the two witnesses bringing a plague of no rain for 3.5 years. And believe me, when these places like Europe have no rain for a couple of months, everything around them will be tender. But somebody is going to be glorifying Jehovah in the fires the name of Jehovah, Elohim of Israel, in the coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea. These are the places where they've been scattered. At this time, the people of Israel stand up and sing songs of praise to Jehovah. From the furthest parts of the earth, from the extremes of the earth, that would be beyond the Mediterranean Sea. That would be in North and South America. We have heard songs. Beautiful. Just and the righteous saying, my leanness, my wasting, woe to me, the treacherous dealers have done treacherously. Yes, the treacherous dealers had dealt very treacherously, and I showed you the land that was promised to the Jews in the Balfour Declaration is much, much larger than what they received. And the promises were negated by thievery, lust for oil, knowing that they could get more of the oil from the Arabs than they could from the Israelis. Now comes fear, and the pit and the snare are upon you, O inhabitants of the earth. It shall come to pass that he who flees from the noise, from the voice of fear, will fall into the pit. And he that comes up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. There is a term for it in English. It is called Murphy's Law. If it can, there's going to come a time, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Because the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. So the windows on high are open. That's meteors falling out of the sky and whatever else falls from the sky. And the foundations of the earth are quaking. We need to go now to the sixth seal. Revelation 6, I do believe that's what it is. See if my memory serves me correctly. Yes. And to you people who say that the words of the prophet don't matter, you will see that the sixth seal is described exactly in Isaiah 24. And I beheld, and he that opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair. I want you to remember this, because the sun and the moon, okay, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell upon the earth. All right, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken with a mighty wind. Now we're going to go back to Isaiah 24, and it says, he that comes out of the pit shall be taken in the snare, for the windows from on high are open. That matches with the stars falling from heaven unto the earth. The windows of heaven will be open. From on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. That matches with and lo, there was a great earthquake. Now this is in there too. We'll continue. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean defeated. The earth is tottering and shaking exceedingly. There is going to be a great, great earthquake, folks. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall flutter like a hut that's blowing in the wind. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And in that day Jehovah shall visit, appoint, punish the host, that's the armies of the greatest of nations that are the greatest, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. And they think they're going to escape to their bunkers. No, they won't. And if they do, they will be dragged up out of there. They will be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and they will be shut up in prison. And after many days, multitude of days, they shall be attended to. The moon shall be ashamed. The moon became as blood, blushing. The sun right here becomes black as sackcloth of hair, hiding itself in sackcloth. All right? We just read that here. No, or did we? Where is it? Moon shall be confounded, and the sun ashamed. The moon will be ashamed, and the sun ashamed. So the moon will turn red, and the sun will hide itself. Jehovah of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion, Jerusalem, before the ancients gloriously. What ancients? Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Now, this was predicted in Genesis 3. How? I'll show you. And Jehovah Elohim said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above the cattle, above every beast of the field, and upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life. And I will make you and the woman enemies. Your seed and her seed. You shall bruise his heel, but it shall bruise your head. These are the two tribulations. This one, the bruising of the heel, was the tribulation upon Jerusalem because of the rejection of Yehoshua. This one is a tribulation upon the Gentiles because they killed Yehoshua. That's right, the Gentiles did. The Gentiles killed the Moshiach. See, they both were guilty. But the bruise would be on the heel of the Jews and their Moshiach, but the bruise will be on the head of the serpent and his people and their city, Rome. You say that the Jews, Jews killed Jesus, you say. Well, number one, his name was never Jesus. There was never any Messiah or Moshiach by the name of Jesus, except a false one. Let's see what it says here. And who? Is it Jesus? No. It is Yehoshua. And it's not contracted to Joshua. It does not mean Yahweh saves. It means Jehovah is salvation. Alright? And Yehoshua, going up to Jerusalem, took the 12 disciples according in the way, and he said unto them, Look, we are going to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man shall be betrayed unto the chief priests and to the scribes, and they will condemn him to death, and they will deliver him to the what? To the Gentiles, to mock, to scourge, and to stake him. To stake him. To kill him. So, who killed Yehoshua again? You see, the Gentiles did not receive their tribulation yet. The Jews did. Their tribulation is over. I have proved it. I have many times proved it. Using the 77's calculation in Daniel 9. I bet there's 20 or 30 videos where I have showed you that calculation. It's so easy. And the third day he will rise again. So the Gentiles to mock, to scourge, and to stake him, to kill him. The Gentiles did it. The Gentiles have a tribulation that is coming. And their tribulation is going to be the strike, the blow to the head. It will be a death blow. Now, are you ready? I'm going to tell you just how ready you are. I don't know any of you who are listening. But take a look around you. How much do you have to lose? That's right. How much do you have to lose? Let me give you some facts here. If you got a whole lot to lose, great big house, fancy cars, wife and children who love you as long as you feed them and provide them with cell phones and all the wonderful things of this world. You have a lot to lose. Then there are those of you who don't have much, whose brothers and sisters, family don't care about you. Some of your family do not care whether you live or you die. You don't have anything new, you just have hand-me-downs. Well, you don't have a lot to lose. So leaving this world will be much easier emotionally when the call is made. The bridegroom comes, go you out to meet him. It'll be much easier for those who have nothing. On the flip side, politicians, preachers, who this world has blessed with fabulous wealth. They've got a lot to lose in this world. It will be very difficult to leave this all behind. Will you be ready to leave at a moment's notice? That's what it's going to require. And those, I will go to Matthew 25. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. And they that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them. Why? Whatever reason, they were not prepared. What compelled them not to be prepared? Well, don't ask that question. Ask yourself that question. What compelled you not to be prepared? Was the luxuries of this life? Is that what did it? Your wife and your children saying, give me this, give me that. So you work your 60 hours a week, overtime, and whatever it is that you do, and you don't have time for Bible study? No. You're a slave to the system, you're a slave to your wife, and you're a slave to your children. The wise took no oil in their vessels, in their lamps, with their lamps. Or that the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. So the wise brought extra vessels full of oil with them. They were prepared in whatever situation. They were going to be prepared for this event. And those of you who are locked up in the accoutrements of this world, you are the foolish. You are not wise. And that was one reason why I sold my house. Why I changed my business plan. It's because I knew we were right up on it. And I had to make a change. And I had to make that change before the housing market collapsed. And while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at the stroke of midnight there was an outcry made, Behold, the bridegroom comes. Go you out to meet him. Now it says at midnight. It just says mesos, which means in the midst. And all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. We can't see. We are blind. We cannot see. Our eyes are full of darkness. We can't see. And what did they tell him? But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there not be enough for us. Lest there not be enough for us? But you go rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready. And that is the key word, they were prepared. It is being prepared versus unprepared. Are you prepared? If you are not prepared by now, you quite literally could be one of the foolish. They that were ready went in with him to the marriage. They got on whatever aircraft, as written in Isaiah 60 and verse 8, if you want to look. Flying ships of Tarshish. And they went, and they left with the bridegroom while the others were searching around for answers. And then the door was shut, and afterward came all the other virgins saying, Master, Master, open to us. But he answered and said, I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for you know not neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man comes. Now, let me show you one more scripture and I will stop. Let's go to Haggai 2. We are given one clue as to timing. And I have for the last 3 or 4 years pointed out this clue. And I will do it again and again and again as we get closer to Hanukkah. Haggai 2. So here Jehovah is speaking to the prophet Haggai. And in those days, the high priest's name was coincidentally Yehoshua. There's your first clue. All right? In the 24th day of the 9th month. The 9th month on the Hebrew calendar, the 24th day is, as I remember correctly, the day before Hanukkah. In the 2nd year of Darius came the word of Jehovah by Haggai the prophet, saying, Jehovah of hosts says, ask the priest concerning the Torah, saying, if one bears holy flesh in the skirt of his garment, and with his skirt do touch bread, or pottage, or wine, or oil, or any meat, shall it be holy? The priest answered and says, no. Then said Haggai, if one that is unclean by a dead body touch any of these, shall it be unclean? And the priest answered and said, it shall be unclean. Then answered Haggai and said, this people, so it is with this nation, before me, says Jehovah, they are unclean. He says, Israel is unclean. And so is every work of your hand, and that which they offer here is unclean. And now, set this time. But nobody does. The Jews don't even know about this. Nehemiah Gordon won't even talk about this. A Chachma among the Jews won't talk about this. But I'll tell you about it. Set this day. What day? The 24th day of the 9th month. The day of, or the day before Hanukkah. Just before the stone was laid upon a stone in the temple of Jehovah. That's the marker. Come in a heap of 20 measures, there were but 10. And one went to the press fat to draw out 50 vessels out of the press, there was only 20. I smote you with blasting, with mildew, and with hail in all your labors of your hands, and you turned, it says, you turn not unto me in King James, but it just says, declares Jehovah. Okay? Declares Jehovah. Consider now from this day and upward. Set this day. Not consider. Set. You see that word? I want you to look at it very carefully. The word in Hebrew is sum. It means to put in place, to mark that day. Mark your calendar. Mark your Hebrew calendar, the 24th day of the 9th month. Mark that day. Because that day, a special event is going to occur. This day and upward, from the 24th day of the 9th month, on that day that the foundation of Jehovah's temple was laid. Said it. How many times did he say to set that day? He said it 3 times. So are you going to do it? Are you going to mark that day? Now, if you got a Hebrew calendar, mark it. If you want to transpose it from the Hebrew calendar to the Roman calendar, I don't care. Mark that day. Stop what you're doing and mark that day. Why? I'm not going to tell you what it says. He's going to tell you what's going to happen on that day. Now we go to says the seed in the barn, the vine, the fig tree, the pomegranate, and the olive tree. To lift, to carry, to take. To lift, to carry, to will be accepted on that day. See what King James Version is doing? This day, that day, I will bless you. Mark that day. Then again, the word of Jehovah came into Haggai in the 24th day of the month. That day, that 9th month, said, speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Yehuda, and say to him, I will shake. We just read about that in Isaiah 24, did we not? We just read about it in Revelation 6, did we not? I will shake the heaven and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the what? Of the Goy, the Gentiles. This is the great tribulation upon the Gentiles. I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the Sus. The Sus are not only horses, but they're warbirds, and those that ride in them. And their riders shall come down every one by the sword of his brother. Kathy Griffin on the New York Post is catching heat Wednesday following a political tweet some social media watchdogs are now calling out as threatening. The controversial stand-up comic threw herself into the fiery pits of Twitter when she suggested that if Americans wanted to endure a fatal historical throwback, then they should vote for red in the coming. No, she was saying that she should vote for Democrat in the coming election. All right, she said, want to endure a okay. If Americans wanted to endure a fatal historical throwback, a civil war, then vote red, Republican, in the forthcoming election. If you don't want a civil war, vote Democrat in November. If you do want civil war, vote Republican. Griffin 61 wrote Tuesday, sparking a viral debate in the comments section. People weren't happy with her statements, which ignited a medley of responses of others. This is wrong, crazy, Hollywood lefty, threatened civil war. Okay. I have also told my listeners that civil war is coming. You should be able to see it. Now we see that it's written right here in Haggai. Everyone by the sword of his brother. On that day, says Jehovah of hosts, he's going to make Zerubbabel a sign. Why is Zerubbabel a sign? Because his name means begotten in Babylon, a leader of returning exiles. He will be that sign. Get it? If you don't get it, I'm not sure I know how to help you. Seriously. If you don't get it, I'm not sure that I know how to help you. If you don't get it, you most certainly are one of the 5 foolish virgins. You see, there's going to be a great migration at that time of all the Jews and all 12 tribes of Israel and all of those who are grafted in among the branches of Israel. I'm one of those. At the very least, I'm one of those grafted into one of the branches of Israel. Yes, that's right. Your Christian narrative will fail because you followed the traditions of men and you rejected the words of Yehoshua and the disciples. He's going to make him a sign, and that is your sign, folks. You have been duly warned. If you have not prepared yourself, it is probably by now too late. But I don't know that. I'm just saying probably. Those of you who feel like you are prepared, I would strongly suggest that you take another look. Find more ways that you can prepare yourself, because everybody knows it's coming. And the ones who don't know it's coming cannot be helped. And there will be many who do know it's coming and still cannot be helped, because they are too entrenched in this world, this chaotic, crazy, insane lifestyle of the great Roman whore. And the time will come where it is where it says, come out of her. Revelation 18, just as it said in Jeremiah 51, verse 45. Verse 3, all the Gentiles. It doesn't say nations. It says all the Gentiles have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from the sky saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues. And if you remain there, you are a partaker of her sins. The 5 foolish virgins remained there until the doors of the kingdom were shut, and thereby they became partakers of her sins and her plagues, because her sins have reached unto the sky, and Jehovah, not Gotaz, has remembered her iniquities. Reward her like she rewarded you. Like she rewarded who? Jerusalem. Jerusalem got her tribulation, and now Rome and all her cities get their tribulation. Give unto her double according to her works in that cup, the cup of ecclesia. Look it up, you'll see it. Which she has filled to hers double. How much she glorified herself and lived deliciously. Oh, yes. In extreme extreme excess. So much torment and sorrow give to her, for she said in her heart, I sit as a queen, am no widow, and shall never see sorrow. Therefore her plagues will come in one day, death, mourning, and hunger. And she will be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Jehovah who judges her. Do not be one of those left behind. Be ready to leave everything here and get on what? That's right, one of the ships of Tarshish. I thought I was going to be the last one. My rear end hurts on this seat. I will go to this one and we will see how you're going to travel. Isaiah 60. As we see here, arise and shine, for thy light is come on Jerusalem. Future glory of Zion. Even King James knows this. And the glory of not the Lord, but Jehovah is risen upon you. Darkness covers the earth, and gross darkness the Gentiles, but Jehovah will rise upon you, and his glory shall be seen upon you. And the Gentiles will eventually have to come to his light, because where they live is desolate. Billions have died. There's no more food to eat there. There is no more water to drink. And kings to the brightness of your rising. Well, we just saw what's going to happen to those kings. They're going to be locked up in prison for a long time. Lift up your eyes round about and look at them gather themselves together. They come to you. Your sons shall come from afar. Your daughters shall be nursed at your side. You shall see, and the stream of people, and your heart shall in awe. And your tents will be enlarged and grow wide. Because the giant murmuring crowds of the Mediterranean Sea will be not converted, will be overthrown. Overthrown. And wealth of the Gentiles, or the army, when the armies of the Gentiles will invade. Ezekiel 38:39. The multitude of camels shall cover you, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, and they from Sheba shall come, and they will bring you gold and incense, and they shall praise Jehovah. That's right. The people of Sheba, the people of North Africa and Saudi Arabia are going to come and praise Jehovah. The flocks of Qatar will be gathered about, and the rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto you. And they will come up, and their offerings will come up and be accepted. These he's talking about, one of the Shebas was the son of Ham, and the other one was the son of Abraham. I believe these are the sons of Abraham he's talking about here, but not the sons of Jacob. Who are these that fly as a cloud as doves to their windows? Or maybe it should read, fly as a cloud. To fly, to fly as a cloud, doves to their windows. They will be waiting in the coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea. And the ships of Tarshish will be first. What? Ships of Tarshish flying. Flying. Do you see that? Flying? The ships of Tarshish. Airliners are ships that fly. Just as the ships of Tarshish opened up a pathway, now that most of Israel are in the North and South America today. North, South, Central America. Those are all going to be gathered and gathered first. The ships of Tarshish first, to bring Zion's sons from afar and their gold and silver with them. Yes, all the gold and Fort Knox is coming too. See, the bankers will have nothing. The leaders will have nothing but shackles on their hands. They will not be able to escape in their bunkers. Unto Shem Yehovah, Elohim, the Holy One of Israel, to glorify. The sons of strangers will build your walls. Instead of Mexico building the wall on the southern border, the strangers will build the walls of Jerusalem, and their kings shall be your servants. For in my wrath I smote you, but in my favor I have mercy upon you. Your gates will be open continually, and they will not be shut day nor night, so that the wealth of the Gentiles will come in, and that their kings may also be brought, and as you just read in Isaiah 24, in shackles. And the nation, the Goy, and the kingdom that will not serve Jerusalem will perish. Those Goy will be utterly wasted. I think that I have spoken enough today. You should know by now what appears to be about to happen. You had better be ready now. And if you are not, and if you suddenly feel the need to get ready, you better get ready. And you better be ready before the cry goes out, the bridegroom comes, go you out to meet him.